What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Today I'll be going over my initial reactions to the first round of the draft. Wasn't 100% sure I'd be able to make this video. Got my second shot yesterday. Not gonna lie, not feeling so great right now, but the show must go on, so I'll power through for the next 20 minutes or so. First up, got some deals for you guys. So as you know, today's the last day to get 15% off any package on our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. All you have to do is use promo code FFA when signing up. You get 15% off any package that you choose. But that expires tonight. So once it's May, that deal ends. And if that wasn't good enough for you guys, got another deal for you. So Underdog is doing a massive tournament starting on May 3rd with $1,001 to first place. And if you deposit now through May 4th, so next Tuesday, you're going to get an extra $25 added to your account. And that includes people who already have an account. I honestly didn't believe it was this good of a deal, so I already had an account. I was like, all right, I'll test it. I put a deposit in, and it was true. It didn't come in right away. It was like half an hour later, but I got the extra $25. So most websites will not do that. They will only do deals for new users. This is for anyone. So any of you who have an Underdog account, if you make a deposit now through May 4th, you're going to get $25 extra added to the account. And also, if you're a new user, you sign up, you don't like the account, you don't like the site, they're refunding up to $100. So there's really no risk of signing up right now. All you got to do to get this deal is use promo code FFA there as well. And like I said, this deal does end May 4th. So I'm going to be using Underdog for some mock drafts. So even if you don't want to do this like $1,001 deal to first place, their big tournament, we're going to be doing some drafts over there for the mock draft Mondays. And so that'll be a way for you guys to get into the mock drafts. So if you want to make an account, promo code FFA, underdogfantasy.com, or you can just go to like the Underdog app in like the App Store. So a lot of deals to you guys, but they are ending, so you gotta act now. So let's start things off as usual. Stat of the day. Yesterday's stat was which quarterback led the league in dropped interceptions last season. And honestly, there is no consensus. So when I initially found this stat, it was for Josh Allen. But then I looked at a number of other sites, and I found 3 different sites that said Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and Josh Allen. All of them had like different answers. So I think the big takeaway here is that some stats are very subjective. Even if it's a professional data collection company, they don't all agree on everything. Now, everyone's going to agree on the yards, the receptions, the easy stuff. But when you've got a statistic like dropped interceptions that's a little bit subjective, don't take everything as a fact, because I went to 3 reputable sites and they did not all agree. Most of you wrote Mahomes because I think that was the one that was like surfacing on Twitter after, or I guess when the off season kind of started out. But unfortunately, there's no consensus. But today's stat, definitely consensus on. So how many wide receivers finished in the top 12 in PPR points per game last season for the first time in their career? So they were a wide receiver 1 in fantasy in points per game for the first time in their career. How many wide receivers did that? Obviously, if a rookie did it, it was their first year doing it. So let's go over the first round of the draft. So nothing really surprising at the top. I mean, I tweeted out my favorite bets in the first round, and one of them was that we see Lawrence, Wilson, and Lance go 1, 2, 3. But even if it wasn't going to be Lance, we were expecting it to be a quarterback, so there's nothing huge to talk about there. Then Pitts goes 4, just like we thought would happen. As I said in a video earlier this week, this is the dream landing spot for Pitts. You know, even if Julio ends up staying with Atlanta, Pitts is going to command a ton of targets in year 1. And if Julio gets traded, then, I mean, he's probably going to have a very, very high likelihood at breaking rookie tight end records, not overall tight end records, but rookie tight end records, probably going to shatter those, if we're being honest, if Julio is traded away. Here's the one thing though. Everyone likes Pitts. Like, I'm not special in saying, oh, Pitts is going to be good. Like, everyone knows that he's good. Everyone thinks he's going to be good. And so when you have a situation like this, where right after the draft, everyone's like, yes, draft Pitts, draft Pitts, draft Pitts, and no one is really offering up things to be like, oh, well, actually, you know, this could be bad about him, this could be bad. The hype train is going to get out of control, I promise you. I currently have him as a tight end 11, and would probably be fine with any ranking in that like 8 to 12 range, you know, like a low end tight end 1 is just what I think he is. but there's a very real chance that he launches up draft boards. And we do need to remember that he's a rookie tight end. So I love the player, love the landing spot. He's going to have an epic career. But let's see where people start taking him before we decide if we're going all in. If he's going as like the tight end 15, yeah, we're all in. But if he starts going as the tight end 6, I mean, I'm saying this because I have no idea where he's going. If he goes that high, well, we need to like reconsider how much we like him, because that's very aggressive for a rookie tight end. At 5, the Bengals take Chase. We knew it was down to Chase or Sewell, and I have the exact same take that I did 24 hours ago when I talked about this one. Mixon owners should be happy that the offense is going to be really good. That's obviously good for the running back, but they would have preferred Sewell, right? Like if you have the running back, you want the offensive line to be fixed, not the receiving weapons. Burrow, he does get an upgrade since he's now got one of the best skill groups in the entire league, and he's already a fantastic quarterback. And while this is a downgrade for both Boyd and Higgins, since Chase is going to be an elite wide receiver, it shouldn't crater their draft stocks. As of right now, again, super initial rankings, I have Chase as the wide receiver 26, Higgins at 27, and then Boyd at 42. So that's 3 spots down for Higgins, 7 spots down for Boyd. It could absolutely be further than that if we kind of have different takes on the split in this offense. But I have a feeling that people are going to be very, very scared to take Higgins, and he's going to drop a lot in drafts, and I don't think that he should. So we're going to have to see on that one, but I still think you can target Higgins. But if we're looking back to, like, remember when I was talking about Ayuk, Lamb, and Higgins? At this point, because of this, it's pretty clearly Higgins last. We'll still go over Lamb and Ayuk because I don't really know how to rank them right now. We're going to do a video on that, but Higgins should be third in that grouping. At 6, the Dolphins take Jaylen Waddle. Some people might be a little bit surprised about this, but you probably shouldn't be. My heaviest bet going into the draft was that Waddle would be taken in the top 10 picks, and I do think it was correct taking him over Smith. As for people who are confused why the Dolphins took Waddle because they have Parker and Fuller, like why do you need another receiver? Well, one, Waddle's better than them, right? Like it's always nice to get upgrades at receiver. But then also he can play in the inside, whereas Parker and Fuller are much, much better on the outside, right? And so it just makes sense. It's a really good fit for their offense. The Dolphins now have a ton of weapons around Tua, so this is a big stock up for him. It's an obvious downgrade for Parker and Fuller. I don't view this as a similar situation to Higgins and Boyd because we do expect the Dolphins to be a lower total pass attempt offense than the Dolphins. I don't know if I said that right. We expect the Dolphins to be a lower pass attempt offense than the Bengals. That's the right way of saying it. The Bengals are going to throw the ball a ton, right? And so even if we bring in Chase, who's a great wide receiver, there's still going to be a ton of attempts. There's going to be a ton of yardage, touchdowns. There's going to be throwing the ball a lot. All those guys are going to be on the field. There's going to be a lot of production to go around. The Dolphins will run the ball. They will play slower. They will have fewer attempts. And so when you bring in a better receiver, and especially considering like Higgins is better than Fuller, he's better than Parker, those guys are going to see a bigger decrease than we would see on Boyd and Higgins. So I want to make that pretty clear. But definitely bump down for Parker, Fuller, Mike Gesicki, because even though they don't play the same position, this is just fewer targets overall. But then remember also that it doesn't take much to be a tight end 1, right? I mean, like Gesicki doesn't have to be that good to still be a tight end 1. But again, big upgrade for Tua. Not necessarily like targeting him super heavily. I want to see how they gel in the offseason, and there's just so many quarterbacks. But, I mean, if you really, really like the talent of Tua and you wanted to start your draft and like, hey, I'm going to wait till like the 16th round and take Tua, I don't know. There's worse options than doing that. At 7, the Lions take the value on the board, and they take Sewell. I love this pick for them. They get a fantastic offensive lineman, just a sure thing offensive lineman. He's not going to bust. And there's still going to be some receivers left on the board later in the draft if they want to attack that position, which they obviously will want to do. There'll still be guys available. Very nice boost for DeAndre Swift, although I still stand by my take that Dobbins and Gibson should be ranked ahead of them unless something weird happens in the rest of the draft. I still think he should be a little bit below those guys, but I mean, you should have an offensive line to run behind. They don't have many receiving weapons, so he's going to get a ton of targets. Like he's still a guy that we can attack in drafts, but I think after those two. The next offensive player is DeVonta Smith to the Eagles at 10. We talked about yesterday how the Eagles have a decision to make, right? And this pick, to me, says it all. Now, they could still go out and draft a quarterback in rounds 2, 3, 4, but this was a clear decision for the organization. You can take Fields, and you can have a competition with Jalen Hurts to see who's the better quarterback and then start building around that player. Or you can decide right here and now, we are building around Jalen Hurts. We're going to take his old teammate in DeVonta Smith, and we're going to have Rager, Smith, Miles Sanders, and we're going to have a really, really nice core. Gesicki, I think, will be the better tight end. We're going to have a really nice core around Hurts, and we're going to allow him to produce this season. Again, rounds 2, 3, 4, they can go after a quarterback, but at this point, they're gone. The quarterbacks that I would be scared of the Eagles taking are off the board. So a big boost for Jalen Hurts. I still think, they're not going to take one, and so I think we're going to be targeting him very aggressively. And I do think DeVonta Smith is someone we can look at as well. Even though I said that I think Waddle's better than him, I still think he's awesome, and so I think we should be targeting him in drafts. At 11, the Bears acted on the Eagles' decision, and they traded up for Justin Fields, and I love this. Their current quarterback situation was not going to cut it, right? They weren't winning anything with their current quarterbacks. This is going to be the best quarterback that Allen Robinson has ever played with in his career. It is a big boost for all of the Bears skill players. I want to target all of them now. Robinson, Montgomery, Mooney. This is fantastic for all of them. Our only concern with the Bears ever, and it's every single year, it's so annoying, is their quarterback play. They've just always had trash quarterback play. Not anymore. I genuinely believe Justin Fields is going to be a very, very good quarterback, and he's going to give this team a significant boost in fantasy. And realistically, if he's the starting quarterback in week 1, we get that confirmed, and you want to do something similar to Tua, where you just wait until the end of the draft, it is not a bad option. Now, what are the odds he finishes a quarterback 1? They're still low, right? I still wouldn't take him thinking he's going to be a quarterback 1, but in 2 quarterback leagues, you can go after him. In Dynasty, absolutely would be targeting him. But even in 1 quarterback leagues, if you're just seeing so many values at other positions, and you're like, oh no, Nick said we have to take a quarterback early. I want to take a quarterback early. I want an elite quarterback, but you don't have to. If you're getting fantastic value everywhere else, and you can just wait and take Justin Fields, it might be a really, really, really good pick. 4 picks later, we see my Patriots take Mac Jones. I'm still a little salty. You guys have heard me praise Justin Fields here. I wanted Justin Fields in the Patriots. I didn't want Mac Jones. But this is still a better outlook than Newton, right? I can't say for certain if Jones will be any good. I really don't have a strong take as to where he's going to be good or bad, whereas Fields, I think he's going to be very good. But for Jones, I don't know. He could be good. He could be bad. But regardless, this is still an upgrade over Newton. Even if he ends up not being a great quarterback, Newton there was no upside for fantasy for other players, right? Because Newton just runs in so many touchdowns. He runs the ball in general so much that if you're a running back on the Patriots, it's okay, he's taking away all of the goal line work. He's not throwing to us. He's scrambling every single play. So there's no upside there. For the receivers, did he even throw a touchdown to a wide receiver last season? It was absolutely nuts. He threw barely any. He couldn't provide fantasy production. And I don't know if Mac Jones will, but at least there's a chance, right? At least there's a chance we can use the Patriots in fantasy. So stock up for basically every skill player there. Next up, the Giants take Kadarius Toney. And I think you guys are going to know my reaction here. I love Toney. I think he's a fantastic talent. But I wanted him to go to a creative offense and one that he could carve out a really nice role for himself. And I'm just not sure that the Giants are that team. From a real football perspective, I think this makes sense, and I don't think it's a bad pick for the Giants. But for us, they have Saquon, they have Golladay, so at absolute best, he's the third option behind these two, and I don't know. I just don't see him posting consistent numbers for us, especially in year 1. This is mainly a redraft channel. In Dynasty, I think he can end up being a really, really good player in fantasy. But I don't know. I'm not that pumped about this landing spot. I personally will not be targeting Toney anymore. I thought he was a sleeper before. If he went to a higher volume offense, an offense with a better offensive coordinator, then maybe. But I don't know. I'm not excited about this landing spot. Next up, we get to the running backs. And I've said for a while, the top 3 running backs are Harris, Etienne, Williams, in that order. We were also pretty sure that the Steelers were going to target a feature back at 24. It's exactly what they got, in my opinion, in Harris. He is extremely likely to take that bell cow role, and that is pretty rare to find, right? Especially on good offenses. So as of right now, I have Harris as a running back 17, right ahead of that like Clyde Carson tier, and I honestly think that he's going to start going in like the 3rd round. So just prepare yourself for that. There's going to be a lot of hype on Harris, and you just got to be prepared for him to go very early. Unfortunately, the outlook just is not as good for Travis Etienne. He goes 1 pick later to the Jaguars, who of course already have James Robinson. Now, after the draft, we hear, we're going to use Robinson and Hyde as like a 1-2 punch, and then Etienne's going to be our 3rd down back. That's a complete lie, right? Like, you don't take a running back 25th overall so you can use him as a 3rd down back. No organization does that, even the Jaguars, right? Like, there may be the one team where you're like, oh yeah, they could do something that stupid. They're not going to. Etienne is now the favorite to be the lead back. He has the skill set to be a feature back. That's why we wanted him to go to Miami, to Atlanta, because he was going to dominate on those teams. But James Robinson is still there, and he's too talented to just not be used. So I hate this for both of their outlooks. As of right now, I don't have either of them as targets. But of course, that could change depending on where they go. Next up, we've got Bateman to the Ravens. If you saw my video yesterday, I said there were 6 wide receivers I did not want the Jets and the Ravens to take. Chase, Waddle, Smith, Toney, Moore, Elijah Moore there, and Bateman. And of course, they take Bateman. So not super excited about this one either. This of course hurts Marquise Brown. It hurts the potential of Bateman if you thought he was very talented. But it helps the ceiling, I guess, of Lamar Jackson, even though like he already had quarterback 1 overall as his ceiling. But I mean, this just gives him, a crazy high yardage ceiling for passing yardage, patching touchdowns. But then also, I mean, obviously could run the ball for like 1,000 yards and like 15 touchdowns. So crazy high upside for Lamar Jackson this season. Definitely helps him. But again, I don't like the landing spot for Bateman. I won't be targeting him as well. So that's my initial reaction to the first round. We still need to see if Atlanta and Miami take a running back, and I think one of them could take Javonte Williams in the 2nd round, but so far, big stock up for Myles Gaskin and Mike Davis. We need to see if the Titans take a wide receiver and how early they do so. They didn't take one in the 1st round, so that's a big boost for A.J. Brown. So a lot of questions still need to be answered, and we will break down the rest of the draft when it's over next week. But remember, before we go, the 2 deals. Today's the last day to get 15% off any package on our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com, using promo code FFA when you check out. And you can also use promo code FFA now through May 4th at underdogfantasy.com, and you'll get $25 free added to your account, even if you're not a new user. Remember, promo code FFA over there. That, my friends, is the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, then how about hitting that like button, and how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.